Hey guys, it's Sam and this is Top 5 Wednesday. If you're new to Top 5 Wednesday, I will leave a link to the Goodreads group down below for topics and such. This week's topic is a super long title that I'm hoping to be able to shorten in a coherent way in the actual title so I don't have to type this much, but it might not happen. And this is our favorite LGBTQ plus books that do not center around cis male-male relationships. Now, this does not mean that cis male-male relationships aren't important or are not talked about. We've actually had whole topics about male-male relationships and whole topics that include the entire LGBTQ plus spectrum, but I specifically decided to do this topic because it has been a discussion for quite a while among many of us in the LGBTQ plus community that, especially in the book world and the YA book world specifically, typically speaking, if you have an LGBTQ plus recommendation video, it's mostly dominated by cis male-male relationship books. And while those books are totally valid, like I said, and totally deserve a spotlight, they aren't the only ones that deserve a spotlight. So, a lot of these books I'm going to be talking about you are probably familiar with because I've talked about them before on my channel, but they will not be some of the typical ones that you tend to see on like every recommendations video, like Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, for example. Again, I just want to stress this is not invalidating anybody's relationships or identities or anything like that. It's just recognizing that there's definitely a bias within the book community for those books specifically and not every other book on the spectrum of the LGBTQ plus spectrum. And typically speaking, a lot of those books that get recommended are written by straight white women. But I digress. We can talk about a lot with this, and we're gonna go into this and just do a top 5 Wednesday, which is more like a top 7 Wednesday because I have more than 5. So I guess we're starting with like honorable mentions, but not quite honorable mentions. Like I don't really have these super ranked. I enjoy all of them, which is why they're on Top 5 Wednesday. The first being Under the Lights by Dahlia Adler. This is a contemporary story, and the reason it's farther down this list in like the honorable mention category is because it's a dual POV, and one of the POVs is a straight dude, and he's kind of a douche. He grows over time. I did a video on this. He grows, but ultimately he's not the perspective I really care about. I care about Vanessa, who's the other POV, and her story and her budding relationship with another girl and her identity and everything like that. So she's the interesting character that drew me in, and I really enjoy Dahlia Adler's book. She covers a lot of different diversity within her books in general, and this one had a really good relationship. Again, focused a lot on consent and stuff, which I didn't tend to see a lot of. I see a little bit more now in contemporary books, but this I read a couple years ago and like never saw that. So this is really good and really nice, and it centers around Vanessa is a TV show starlet. I don't think it's reality TV. She's like an actual like a Seventh Heaven type show that she's been on, and she's trying to kind of like break away from that identity, stuff like that. It's very like LA Hollywood contemporary. Then we have the Wayward Children series by Shauna Maguire. This is the second book in this series, but there's 3 currently out as of the filming of this video, and there's going to be many more, I'm sure. With these books, each book features multiple characters that are on the LGBTQ plus spectrum, not just cis gay males, but also there are trans characters, there are asexual characters, there are lesbian characters, bisexual characters, I'm pretty sure. Basically, a lot of the spectrum is represented within these books, not to mention other kinds of diversity like racial diversity or different bodies and stuff like that. So they're overall a good time. I talk about them a lot. Then we have Winter Spell by Claire Legrand, and this is towards the bottom again of the list because it's not quite canon with the female-female relationships, but it's like heavily hinted at, which I know sucks, but I'm allowed to recommend this as somebody who's into it, you know? It's that, the tension is that real to me, and the main character you could definitely say is a bisexual character, and then she has this dynamic with the female villain. Like they're running around naked together at one point. Like they're not just gals being pals, you know? But I will say, and if this is a spoiler, I'm sorry, like they don't end up romantically together. Okay, that doesn't say anything else about the story, but I just want to tell you so no one goes into it and is like, I thought they were gonna be in a relationship, and they're not. They're not, but like, the dynamic though. It's just, I still have a lot of feelings about it, and I like to imagine that different things happened with their relationship. Then we have Anna Marie McLemore books in general. I haven't read all of hers. There's 3 of them out. I've read these 2, and then she has one coming out soon that's like, what's it called? Something with R's. I'm totally forgetting the name. But this book has a relationship between a trans boy and a girl, and this book has all of an entire family of women basically are bisexual, and it's beautiful. And they usually follow Latinx communities as well. They are beautiful magical realism stories, and they're stories, I've reviewed both of these, and they're stories that magical realism is such a weird genre for me where like I love it, but they're never like quite 5-star reads, but there's like something about them and I still think about them after, and like it's just, they're really hard genre for me to read and review, but I highly adore these. And if you want diverse reads at all, like with a lot of things going on and beautiful writing and imagery, these books are definitely books that you should be paying attention to, and her as an author is someone you should definitely be paying attention to. Then we have The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. What I really enjoy about this book is this is a science fiction story, and it follows these characters on a ship, and there are different alien races, and one of them, Cis, is from a alien race that is like not necessarily polyamorous, but like sort of, yeah, I would say like polyamorous, and just like they don't have like gender. They don't have all these like gender and sexuality hangups that like humans do. And so one of the human characters, who's also a lady, gets involved with Cis, and their relationship dynamic is super, super cute and adorable and just like lovely. This is not a romance in that it revolves around them and their relationship, but their relationship is like a nice little spice into the story. Then we have We Are Okay by Nina LaCour, another contemporary story, and this follows a relationship that has kind of been on the rocks, dissolved between two best friends who were something more. And this is after they have separated and been apart for a while after one of them went away to college. And this, I read this in one sitting, it tore at my heart and I love it. This is my favorite of the Nina LaCours that I have read. I've also read Everything Leads to You, which gets recommended a lot here in BookTube, but this one I feel like is her underrated one that not everyone's talking about, and I feel like it's so much better. It's slightly angstier, maybe that's why people don't like love it as much, but like the feels, man. And number one, like, do I even need to say it at this point, is The Tiger's Daughter by Kate Arsenal Rivera, because it's two warrior women in love in an epic fantasy setting that's inspired by like Chinese and Japanese mythology and folklore, and they're like fated to be together, and they're like really super powerful, and like it's like their love story but also an epic fantasy. It's great. I've talked about it like a ton, a lot recently. The second book is coming out very soon and I have a lot of feelings about it. So if you haven't read it yet, like, you probably aren't going to, because I've yelled at you about it enough. So we won't go into it now, but like, just know that my feelings are still very real. So those are some of my favorite books that are not centered around cis male-male relationships. Comment them below, let me know some of yours. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.